Well, they did it again.
How is this possible?
Today we have a review of Cavalera Conspiracy's remake of the classic Sepultura album Schizophrenia. Now, in case you've been living under a rock for the past 4 decades, Max Cavalera is the former frontman of legendary thrash metal act Sepultura. And while plenty busy with numerous other projects like Soulfly and Killer Be Killed, he's also been on a mission to Taylor Swift his old Sepultura catalog rights back. This started last year with remakes of Bestial Devastation and Morbid Visions, and while at the time my expectations of a re-recording were low, they ended up being among my favorite albums of the year and definitely at the top tier of thrash metal. I'd put it in my top 5 thrash albums of the year, honestly. So I'm going to put it up at perfection, and I am kind of grouping them together. Cavalera Conspiracy now continues this mission with their sophomore full-length Schizophrenia, an even taller order now, with higher expectations, and this being among my favorite Sepultura albums. Can he pull it off again? And once more, how does it compare to the original? Right off the bat, I was very impressed. My attention went first to the production, and in many ways this can often be what makes or breaks a remake of a classic. I feel like plenty of bands just choose to update to a modern sounding mix without really paying attention to how much it actually fits the record.
Don't ask questions, just consume product and then get excited for next product.
In the case of Schizophrenia, this is very much an 80s thrash metal album with a particularly aggressive edge, and as such you don't want to make it as glossy as Cellophane. So wisely, they have updated the overall quality and fullness of the production without losing that raw and pissed off 80s energy. I attribute this largely in part to the choice of distortion and especially the heavy emphasis on reverb that really give the vocals and the drums a more retro sound. If you ask me, it's the perfect balance of old and new, and frankly, given that my one complaint about the original is that the production felt a little bit sparse and one-dimensional, even a little bit scratchy and kind of low fidelity, so here I'm loving the changes. But what about the songs themselves? This is another area where some bands' egos can get in the way, George Lucasing their previous material into what they think it should be now while ignoring what the fans loved about the originals. Once more, Max and company make the wise decision to not fuck with the compositions. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I could do some line-by-line comparisons here, but frankly, it is such a one-to-one on this front that it seems unnecessary this time around. I even looked at the files side by side in Audacity, and aside from the usual loudness wars blowing out the dynamic range and some mild fluctuations like a longer outro on To the Wall or some pacing variation, but largely they play out almost exactly the same way. And this was such a smart move. If we wanted new songs, we would ask for a new album, and Max is already doing plenty of that, so when it comes to the classics, just stick to the assignment. Now, I'll continue with my thoughts on the album in a minute, but I just want to let those unaware know that if you're enjoying this video, I have a number of other adjacent ones you should check out after, like my Sepultura discography tier list. This got them signed to Roadrunner Records, and frankly, I think it's extremely underrated. It's perfection for me. My Soulfly discography tier list. There's a reason this made my top 10 new metal albums list, and I think it still stands out among the rest. It was certified gold, easy S tier to kick things off. And quite a few 80s thrash metal rankings and lists. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, with plenty of content in other genres as well, from black and death to core. So if you're new here, be sure to subscribe, and if you're a longtime viewer, consider becoming a member or joining the Patreon, starting at just $1 for additional perks or just to show your support. But back to the review, even the new cover art, I feel, captures the essence of the original, maybe even more effectively. I absolutely love what they've done with this, from the upgraded detail to the original concept and the additional shatter effect around it. And the only major change to the track list is the addition of track 10, Nightmares of Delirium, which, as with the previous remake, is very much an addition in the same spirit and does not at all feel out of place. I'm not sure if this one is also made up of old scrapped ideas, but regardless, I am down for it as it is a total rager and it's awesome. All said and done, this is truly an exemplary remake. If anything, I think they may have done an even better job of capturing the essence of the original than with the previous two. My personal favorites are From the Past Comes the Storms, Escape to the Void, Septic Schizo, Rest in Pain, and believe it or not, Nightmares of Delirium. Summing it up with my 3 grading scales, I give it an A for enjoyability, and this should come as no surprise once more considering that this is one of my favorites from the band and the songs absolutely kill, and they did nothing here to change that. I give it a B for musicianship. Overall, the performances are very strong, probably even stronger than on the original, I think from an objective standpoint. I think the only bummer of sorts is that Andreas Kisser is not reprising his role on the Axe, but frankly, you can hardly tell. I'll also say, and this is a criticism of the original as well, that some of these songs go on a bit longer than they need to, but it's a pretty minor problem. And I give it a B for innovation. Once more, they took everything that was already fantastic about this album and just used all of the modern tools they had available to make it pop for a new generation. So putting that all together, I'm giving the Schizophrenia remake a B+. That's very close to an A-. Y'all be sure again to check out the Sepultura album ranking video or this playlist for more thrash metal videos. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed and comment your own thoughts. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.